Welcome to Smart Branding, a podcast dedicated to branding, naming, and domain names. I'm Tatiana Bonneau, and with my guests, we try to help you create and grow strong, memorable, and meaningful brands online. I believe time is one of our most precious assets, and so I want to thank you in advance if you decide to spend the next 30 minutes with us. I promise to do my best to make those worth it. Let's go. So today my guest is Glenn Gardone. He's a growth strategist with a distinguished record of producing immediate results. He's worked with multinational Fortune 100 brands, including some of the largest direct store delivery and consumer packaged goods companies in the world. And currently, Glenn is the president of Red Chocolate, a guilt-free chocolate. Thank you for joining us, Glenn, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to having a conversation, hopefully being able to, give some information out to your audience that they can use and move forward on their journey.
Wonderful. I think like all of the things that I had written out in your introduction, as soon as I got to guilt-free chocolate, I think it's not just me. I think everybody is going to be like, tell me more about the chocolate.
I do. I get a lot of questions. I've been in the food business for 30 years, and this opportunity that I have here to grow this organization has been the most fun. I've sold the quote unquote and marketed the widgets of the world, working for Kellogg and Pepsi. But when you get into a brand like Red, the consumer loyalty is through the roof. I tell people all the time, I don't have just one boss. I've got about a 1.2 million bosses every single month. Because believe me, I hear it, and it's great. You get a chance to talk with the consumers, and ultimately, that's who you want to satisfy.
I love the way you framed it. I have 1.4 million bosses. That should be everyone. Amazingly, it's not, but it should be. Everybody should be seeing it that way.
It's interesting, Tatiana, again, being in this business for so long, I've been around the table where everybody agreed. And my statement to everybody is, but we're all on the same payroll. So we better agree with what we're moving forward with. Otherwise, why are we moving forward with it? Really, it's about the ultimate consumer. And do they believe it? Do they listen to it? Do they agree with it? And do they want to take that journey with us? Because really, business is like life. Marketing is like life. It's about the journey. And how do we get people to want to come on our journey with us? And if we don't believe in the journey, why should somebody else believe?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And how did you get from, you mentioned you've been in the food business and finance. How did you get to Red?
Interesting story, actually. So I spent the first half of my career, as you stated earlier, and for the top 10 CPG companies in the world, Kellogg, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Worked with amazing people, had some incredible mentors, and got to really learn from the best. And that's really what my foundation was. And so about 15 years ago, I went into, for lack of a better phrase, private equity. And I actually was employee number 3 to an organization that we grew from a startup to about 70 million in 18 months. And I remember when we decided we were going to sell that company, because again, at that point, I really hadn't, it wasn't about equity and those kind of things. It was about trying to be as successful as I could be. And success means different to everybody. Success to me at that point was honestly being able to feed my family and enjoying a vacation twice a year. And if I could get to that level from where I began, I considered myself a success. And so I remember sitting at the table, and one of the gentlemen that was at the table from the PE team said to me, "So Glenn, what are you going to do now?" And I said, I didn't think I'd be out of a job in 18 months. That never really crossed my mind. I'm not sure. And he said, well, if you're going to be in private equity, the object is to get out of a job as quickly as possible, because that means you're very successful. And so you better make sure it's a soft landing. So from that opportunity, I either joined or led teams and sold about 5 companies. And the last company I sold, I've been on the road 200,000 miles a year. We've just traveled around the world. Again, amazing opportunities, but exhausting. And I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. And the Red organization, now I knew Red Chocolate from my travels around the world, and I love the product. And this isn't a commercial; it's Glenn talking. I like the product. I like what they stood for, and it was completely different than what was out there. And having diabetes in my family and having some health issues that were throughout the generations of my family, I try to watch some of it. Don't get me wrong; I love to indulge. I love a beautiful glass of red wine. I love, different kinds of foods, and some foods I eat, people look at me and go, how could you even eat that? But that's me. And so, I received a phone call. Again, it's sold. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to retire and call it a day and just, revel in my success, for lack of a better phrase. In other words, I was exhausted, man. I just wanted to sleep. That's all I wanted to do. And
I know the feeling.
Exactly. We've all been there. And the ownership group, we're actually owned by two families. And one of the folks in the ownership group called me and said, hey, your name has popped up a few times. We want to talk to you about, coming to the U.S. We're in, 20 countries. Now we're in 29 countries. And we think, we want to come to the U.S. And so I actually met with the team. We were together for 4 hours, and I spent the first 3.5 hours explaining to them why they didn't want to come into the U.S. Because, everybody
Really?
sees the U.S. and, we are such, U.S. consumers, there's no one like us, and we love to indulge and we love to enjoy. And I told them, I said, guys, unless you know what you're doing, it'll bankrupt. Because the U.S. can, not only can it be really successful and you have those dollar signs in your eyes, but the fact is you can fail and fail miserably, and it could wipe out an entire company. And I've seen it many times with some great brands that weren't properly run for the U.S. And so it's funny, the person who then became my boss and partner now, she said to me, so are you done? I said, well, yeah, I'm done. And she said, so when do you want to join? And I started laughing. I said, you're either crazy or you know something I don't. And either way, this could be a lot of fun. So I said, okay, let's do it. So I spent 6 months Americanizing the company and just, supply chain and the marketing and the messaging, and something as simple as, when we were looking at the packaging, for instance, we didn't have non-GMO on our packaging. And so when I talked to them about it, they're like, well, we're from Europe. Everything's non-GMO. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the U.S. That's important in the U.S. So it was even basic things like that, and making sure that we had everything we needed to have to be able to get the branding message out there, and to have it clear and concise. Because the worst thing you could do is, I've seen it, let's throw 80 things against the wall and see what sticks. Yeah, that's set up for a failure. And I've also, seen where people said, well, we're going to take marketing and we're going to brand our business. Well, unless you're a $100 million business and you could sustain that trail, so to speak, that journey, marketing better be immediate. And so there are immediate marketing opportunities, and then there are long-term brand awareness opportunities. And yes, you have to combine the two, but you really have to focus on here today so you can have a profitable tomorrow. And so joined the team, and it has been an absolute insane whirlwind, I guess is the best way. We in 3 years, we're in 15,000 store doors. The funniest thing, and I tell people this all the time. So when I joined the organization, when we went live, was 5 months before a global pandemic shut down the world. And so if you think about it as a new brand, oh boy, so again, didn't have my crystal ball perfect at that time and didn't know that would happen. So, you sit with the team, and luckily I've got an incredible, passionate team that cares more about the business and looks at it as a collective versus, what's in it for me kind of thing. So, it's been an amazing journey. We've had some incredible success, and it's all because of the American consumer, and because they heard our message. They agreed with our message, and they said, all right, we're going to give you a try. We're going to bring you into our home. We're going to make you part of our life. And from that, it's been great. And I went the long way around telling you how I got to Red, but it's an awesome story.
No, I love it. And I completely, like you say, it's all thanks to the American consumer. It's also thanks to you and your team for being able to communicate that message. And I think that's a very, very important thing, and something that actually I didn't even think before we started. So that's a question that just came out now as I was listening to you. Because we oftentimes, so let's say, jump to thinking, okay, I'm starting in whatever country as an entrepreneur. I'm going global. I'll just translate everything into English. Should work, or into whatever language I'm going to. And you just now touched on, it's not just about the language. Like those are different people, different consumers. They have different demands. There's a different way to talk to them, different things that are important to them. And I think it's really, really cool you brought that up. that's kind of what you had to do with Red.
It is true. It's interesting. One of the questions that asks often to me is, how has the consumer changed throughout your career? And whether you're US, UK, European Union, wherever you are, the consumer hasn't changed. The way that you deliver the message and the way they're willing to accept that message, that's drastically changed. Because a consumer, they want a value. And again, like success, value means what it means to them. Value could be a price, very simplistic, but value could be, how does it help me in my life? How does it help me attain my goals? And goals as simple as, what? Don't want sugar in my life. That's not what I'm looking for. So this helps you with that. So it's more about what value do you bring to that consumer, and then being able to build that message if it truly is a value. And then how do you deliver that message to the country of choice? And then what tools do you use to get that message to them? And again, whether you're a, startup or whether you're mid-level, you're always looking for that opportunity to be able to deliver the message at the best cost possible. And in today, it could become an analysis paralysis because there are so many different tools to use. And you know what? You could use 4 of them and all of them fail. And so all of a sudden, is it the tool? Is it the message? And, you could talk to 7 people and get 7 different answers. And so, that's where you, as whether you're a single entrepreneur or whether you have a great team, as I've been fortunate to have, to be able to sit down and go, okay, what didn't work and why didn't it work? It's not that we get upset from it. We just try to figure out why didn't it work. And it's not a blame thing. Nobody wants to be blamed. It's how do we grow? Even in my career and where I am right now, I still want every day to be able to grow. And it could be growing in so many different ways, whether it's working with my supply chain team, whether it's working with my partners, whether it's working with my vendors. The idea being that if we grow together, if we have a business model that is successful for us, because we have to be healthy, but also a business model that can be successful for others, who wouldn't want to join that?
Absolutely. And you just touched on, when we've been talking about success for quite some, or throughout that conversation, and to somebody just judging on that, those last few, like 10, 15 minutes, whatever we've been talking about your journey, it does look very like it was from success to success. And I'm sure it wasn't the case in reality. So let's just touch on that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure. Oh no, of course. I don't like to call it a fail. It's first attempt in learning, I guess is the best way to say it. No, this next opportunity. That's what I try to tell people. We try to take the negative and turn it into a positive. I have definitely had, opportunities where I could learn from my actions, and whether it be from managing people to, marketing opportunities or marketing tools we used. Being at, for instance, Kellogg, back in the day, we had some great marketing options, and we tested and tried things, and they failed because really the consumer looked at it and went, I don't think so. I don't think that, that's going to work for me. And so, it happens. And what you have to do is you have to learn from it. The ultimate goal is, again, it's a risk reward trade-off. You think about the risk you're giving. And for me, any risk I give, and let's say it's 10% level of risk, I need to get 15% back in reward. I never want to see it equal or giving more risk than I have, and so I am definitely a little more conservative that way, but it allows me to continue to play the game because, again, using an American baseball term here, you can hit a home run and it's worth 1 run, or you can get 4 singles and it's still worth 1 run. So it's not always about hitting the home run. I was one of those folks that I didn't find my passion until I was in my 40s. I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to sell chocolate. Believe me, that's not what I thought. I wasn't 14 years old thinking that. So I tell people all the time, what you do in your journey, again, my personal journey, I knew that it was right for me to continue down the path I was doing because I knew it would give me the basis I needed for when I had the opportunity to do what I truly wanted to do. And I still reach back to this day, on some of the failures that I've had and some of the successes, and just trying to work with those different pieces to be able to continue to grow. So I tell people all the time, look, if you don't have your passion, don't worry about it. What you're doing today, take it. And how do I learn from this opportunity? And how do I grow with this opportunity so that when I do find my passion, because we all do, some of us are lucky to find it in their teen years, others 20s, 30s, 40s. And you've heard success stories of people in their 60s. So don't worry about it. Enjoy the journey, because, I think back now and, I've been blessed and I've been fortunate enough to reach more success than I thought I ever could. And it's not about the success anymore. It's really about the journey. Because when I think back to the friendships I've made and the late nights and, the hard work, that was the most fun. The success, the cherry on the top, that's a benefit. That's not the journey.
Yeah. It's almost like it's a side effect of doing what you're doing. And I think that's a very healthy way of looking at it. Unfortunately, we seem to be like it seems like we need to get there with age. Like you can keep saying it to people, but it's very, I have 4 kids. So like whenever we touch on those type of topics, I'm like, why can't I just get it in their heads? And I'm like, yeah, I was there as well.
I've got 2 boys now in their early 20s, and they found their passion early on in life. One is planning to be an astronaut, and the other one's in artificial intelligence, and wanting to change the world. And I see them, and I see the journey they're on, and I always tell them, it's awesome that you found your passion, but enjoy the journey, enjoy the steps that took to get you where you are today, and think to the future of where you want to go and the steps you'll need to take. And again, because you don't want to be at a certain age and go, well, how did I get here? That's the last thing you want. And you don't want it in business too. And especially on the marketing side, I meet with a lot of folks that have the latest, greatest thing, I guess is the best way to put it. And I tell them, let's walk, let's understand how this can benefit us. Because again, we have to remain profitably healthy. And how does it benefit the consumer? I am a fanatic when it comes to talking to the consumer, because you truly can't learn everything you need to know by sitting in front of a computer or reading a book, or you need to be in front of the folks that you're trying to connect with and understand. Put people around the table that aren't on your payroll, I guess is the best way to look at it.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. I was just going to say, how do you do that? And you kind of answer that. Yeah.
We do a basic marketing piece here where, again, at Red, we've got a pretty robust e-commerce platform. Yes, we're in 15,000 store doors. Yes, we're the number 1 chocolate sold on the Home Shopping Network. But again, with our marketing team and all the work they do, with every package that goes out, we give them the opportunity to give us the feedback, because we want them to know it's important. We want to know, was it delivered to your expectations? Is Red up to your expectations? Were you satisfied with the entire process? Because again, you've brought us into your life. We want to show our appreciation for it. We don't want to be transactional. There isn't a business that I've run that I said, okay, we're a transactional business. Let's get it and go. And anybody who thinks that way, you're constantly trying to feed, because you've got that one single transaction. You've got that quote unquote one home run. I'll take 100 singles. I'm fine with that.
I love that. And I think it's really important that, the way you look at it, where you're not forgetting the customer, and you have that respect for the literally the time that they've given you, even, then you're talking to spending money. And that's something that I kind of always draw parallels when I'm talking to somebody on the podcast with what I do, which is naming and domains. And oftentimes I would hear people talking about, but those metrics and that metrics, or the other side is, or the other, another thing I hear often is, but I like that. I'm okay with that. It's like, no, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's, you wasting people's time, or they've shown some trust, or they've put some money in, or whatever. It's all about them. So it's not about whether you're okay with it or you like something. And I find that a lot of people nowadays are just going crazy over, this algorithm and that metric and this metric. So why don't you just talk to the people? Just the people. and like you just said, I mean, you can just ask them, and I'm sure, not 100% will take the time to respond, but even, whatever it is, you just give that way for people to show that you care about what they think. I mean, it means so much more. Yeah.
What's interesting is, you're actually right, we definitely don't get replies from everybody we do. I would tell you it's probably ranges somewhere between the 40 and 50% mark. And
that's still huge.
What's interesting, which it is, we've been to, again, part of that, having 1.2 billion bosses. Believe me when I tell you, I wasn't kidding about that. And what's really interesting is you will get this, you'll get a whole bunch of people that, will say, I love what you're doing. I believe in what you're doing. I love the product. And you'll get that selector to say, you know what, it didn't satisfy my needs. And so you find out, and it could be something as simple as, they really like a sugar chocolate bar. They like it with tons of other stuff besides just coca and the basics. And so again, you can't satisfy everybody. I have never been in an opportunity or a role where I satisfied everybody, even with my own organization and my own team. I tell people all the time, look, you've got a seat at the table. You deserve that. You own that. Your opinion does matter. It doesn't mean that we're going to do it 100%. It may mean we do 1%. We may not be able to do any of it. And you'll understand why, but we'll continue to move the business forward. Consumers are the same way. Those consumers that tried us and, for some one reason or another said, okay, I respect that. I don't take it personally. We're not right for you. But the other 310 million, we're perfect for. And so those are the folks that we want to make sure that we continue the message. Because, not everything is right for everyone. The old saying, if you try to be liked by everyone, you're really liked by no one.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. And that's something, again, that nowadays, especially with, you have all the social media, some coming and going and changing. And a lot of people are very confused and think, I have to be everywhere. I have to be everywhere. I have to be. And that's something that comes up oftentimes in my discussion with entrepreneurs or with people who work on the side of, marketing and branding and naming. They're like, no, you don't, you can't. I mean, you said that earlier, you said it's like life, marketing is like life. And that's very, very true. It's, if you try to be liked by everyone in life, it's just going to drive yourself crazy. People are going to think you're
exhausting.
It just doesn't work. So that's definitely, I can see the parallel there.
Absolutely. And what's most interesting is those that want to have the conversation with you, they want to do it to help you, which is really interesting because a consumer, when you start to build that relationship and they allow you into their home, you do really, we call it the Red family because we do feel like they're part of our family and we want them to feel like part of our family. And sometimes, that drunk uncle shows up at dinner. Well, you still got to feed them, and so that's the idea behind it, and we all have them. And as a matter of fact, some people call me the drunk uncle here, but it is what it is. What can I do?
I was gonna say, tell me a bit more about the name, because like you have that, it's the guilt-free, healthy chocolate, and then red is usually a color that's like alert and danger. So how does that match?
So red actually comes from 16th century European literature. It means passion, it means lust, it means desire. And what we want to do is we want people to be passionate about our brand. And that's where the term red came from. You've probably heard of Red Square, in Moscow. It used to be called the Beautiful Square. And then it became Red Square. It wasn't red because of. And so, red itself, you think about red, Valentine's Day, in the U.S. with red being a synonymous color. Again, it happened because of, European literature. We didn't just come up with the idea of, let's do red for Valentine's Day. Red has always meant passion and fire and intensity and love.
Yeah.
And so that's where the name comes from, is from that actually. And started the two families that own us are both master chocolate makers, multiple generations. And they actually spent 3 years in the kitchen crafting what red has become. So it was a lot of work, a lot of iterations, and we have 11 global patents. So people always say, so what is red like? And not like anything you've ever tried, which is really cool. Earlier I held up, this happens to be our blonde. And the reason I always have the blonde around because it's my favorite. We actually launched blonde chocolate in April of this year. It is a caramelized white chocolate. So you think about caramel and you say, well, caramel sugar, and you don't have sugar. Exactly. So what we've done is we've actually taken milk from Holstein cows and we whip it at a certain temperature for a certain speed and we pull the natural sugars out of it. And so then we pour that into our white chocolate. There is nothing like it in the world. And this took almost 5 years to craft to get it to the way we wanted to. And now we have it. And it's it is the most successful launch we've had here in the US out of all of our brands, out of all of our different flavors. And so, it's part of that journey. It's part of that ride. And it's part of the excitement that, we've been able to create here in the US and create throughout the world. So it's been a lot of fun.
I'm like, okay, let's just finish this. I'll go and get some chocolate. I don't know how you deal with that. I don't know how you do that. I'm like imagining your office with chocolate everywhere. Like everybody just, don't show me more chocolate. Oh, no.
I have chocolate, believe me. I've got all kinds of chocolate. I've got chocolate all around.
You're like Santa.
I've been called Santa. I've been called Willy Wonka. Like I said, it's funny, It's one of those things where, anywhere in our office, and that's really how you can tell if you've got a good brand, are the people that work with you, do they eat it? It's because it's always around. And so you could say it's almost like, if you worked in a pizza shop, do you eat pizza all the time? Chances are you probably never eat a pizza because you're always surrounded by it. Here, it's funny because, we've got a big old, kitty out in the main office and, it's filled with chocolate and you always see people walking by and grab a chocolate. And what's even really cooler is, we'll have, whether it be our USPS or some of our other delivery folks, they come in and they grab some chocolate. So this is cool. I always like coming here because I can always get my piece of chocolate and they all love it. And so, and it's great. It's great because they're part of our family.
Do you have any openings? I want to work for you.
Fortunately for us, we always, we continue to grow. We continue to add to the team. So it's been fun. It really has. And, in the end, hopefully you'll give me a second because I do love to give people my information because whether we have an opportunity to, open or, we may know somebody who does, we're always willing to help because that's just part of life and that's part of karma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I love the way you refer to it. You said the Red family, that just says it all, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, what's really interesting is, we were talking earlier about how you deliver the message to the consumer. And we have found out that, the biggest change being that consumers want to know about you before they arrive, where before a couple of years before it was about the shopping experience and going into the store and seeing the new products and all. But now with people with their limited time and other reasons, it has really been about getting the message across to the consumers well before they go through their shopping experience. And so, we've been able to find some pretty amazing tools to be able to help us get there so that we can deliver the message, so that we can tell people, some people are interested in the fact that we're non-GMO. Others are interested in the fact that we're kosher or we're gluten-free. It's all these different pieces. And so, it could be something as simple as, you're taking the message and you're breaking it out over 4 different areas, or you're keeping the message together at one. And that's why I say, testing it out, limiting the amount of risk, but being able to grab the reward. Because the idea behind risk is we took a chance, but we'll live till tomorrow.
I love that. I'm like usually on the podcast, we do a write-up and we have the quote section. I think my colleagues are going to struggle to pick the quote, you've had quite a few that I'm like, oh, this one, oh, this one, oh, this one. So yeah, that's going to be a struggle.
I love it.
I like you touched on that, how have consumers changed? And I very much agree with that. And I've always, maybe it's because I've been in marketing for a long time, or maybe it's because I have kids, or both. But I've kind of over the years figured it's very useful and informative to look at kids and how they react to things. And it gives you a little like window into how it's going to be. And what I've noticed now, like my eldest and the rest are following. When we used to go to the shop, it used to be like, oh, I saw that advert, so I trust that thing. I saw it on TV, it must be good. Or recommendation obviously always works, but still now they don't, almost like they don't trust anything. Like they're going to Google, what did people say? Not just what the brand said. What did people say? Mm-hmm. Who's the CEO? What are they like? What do they say? Does it match what the brand stands for? And it's so much about authenticity that I think it's really like, I struggle to imagine how can a brand survive unless they really are living inside and out what they stand for. And what you described with Red, the fact that inside the company you are like that, and you're consuming your own products and enjoying it, and all of that, it really matters, which is a great thing. Thing if you think about where that's leading. That's wonderful thing to think of. Every brand can be like that, or it just won't survive.
Absolutely. And, especially with, today's shoppers as they continue their journey, we definitely see that where again, people want to be part of your family. It's not the transaction. So for me, I'm excited about it. I know a lot of other brands out there like, oh boy, this is, not what we're looking for because, we're fake. And that's what they think to themselves is, we've been scamming people. Okay, what do we do now? And all of a sudden they start throwing out these goofy little press releases about, something that's completely insignificant, but they're trying to make that quote unquote food news. So we definitely see that. And I think really that's probably one of the reasons for the success we've had is because we are genuine. Look, we want you to love us. We hope that you love us. We're going to do everything we can for you to love us. But if you don't, hey, we understand. So we don't take a personal offense to it. We're right for most and many, but maybe not for all.
And that's really important. That little, I think that says it all. When you're not when it's not transactional, you said it. When it's not transactional, you don't have to try and please everyone. You don't have to try and shove things up people's mouths, literally in that case, because it's not about that.
That's right. No, that's absolutely true. And I think you're going to see a lot more organizations like Red that'll continue down this journey because it feels right and it is right. And therefore we're going to do it. We don't look at anything here within our organization that we feel is not consistent with the message we want to give and the message we believe in. We're not going to do it just for the hopes of getting that press. It's just, we're not interested in that. We're not interested at all. We're gonna, like I tell my team, if it doesn't work, we're going to be true to ourselves and we're going to say, okay, we believed in it. And if it didn't do what we expected it to do, and if it didn't get to where we want it to be, how do we get it there? And if there is a path to get there, great. If not, then we'll move on. It's not, we're going to sit here and try and square peg round hole it.
Yeah. And I think people are very, like you said, the people or the organizations, we're talking about brands and businesses that are scared of that abundance of information that people have access to and that change of consumer behavior. Those are the ones that have a problem with it, that have not been authentic, and they're like thinking, okay, that's all falling to pieces. What can I do? That I can't just throw money at it. It doesn't work anymore.
And it's what's interesting too, if you think about it, those are usually the groups that don't want to talk to the consumers because they're afraid of what the message is going to be. If you truly don't want to talk to whoever is the consumer of what you are doing, then you got to ask yourself, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Because if anything, one of the biggest things that I've seen of uh-ohs within entrepreneurs is I know everything. Nobody knows everything. And so, all of a sudden people start giving you, their ideas or, their suggestions. It becomes, no, it's mine. Don't get me wrong. Red is like one of my kids. I go into a store and I see it. I'm a proud dad, I guess is the best way to put it. But the fact is, we can all continue to learn and all make sure that we're doing things the right way for our organization, but ultimately for the consumer.
And I think also that authenticity, it gives you that freedom. Like you just said, people are scared of being authentic. And I think like that could be like trying to shape some sort of a takeaway. There are many, but I'm just going to try and add one. It's like that thing of being scared of being authentic because you might lose some audience or whatever. I think you just said it yourself. When you are authentic as a brand and as a company, it gives you that freedom. I feel that you can try things and then you can just go, oops, that didn't work. Sorry, we're going to try something else, because you're asking the audience of, and you have been authentic all the way through, so they can see why you did that, and it's okay.
Exactly. You'll never see something from Red for quote unquote shock value. It's just not what we do. We're not trying to get on the front page for some reason or another. We'll get on the front page, and it's going to be because people tried our products and fell in love with us. And that's fine for us. And if it takes us a little longer on our journey, we're okay with that. We're okay.
Right. You wanted a minute to say something before we wrap up.
Sounds good. So if I can help anybody, I'm always willing to help. I had the opportunity to have some amazing mentors and some great relationships from people that I could just tap on the shoulder every once in a while. So I always offer that up myself to anybody who I can help. You can always reach myself or anyone on my team on our website, which is www.red-chocolate.com. You'll find my contact information. You'll find our marketing team's information, and you'll learn about the brand. And hopefully you read up and you go, you know what? This sounds pretty interesting. And I think I want to take a look at it. So, we'd love to bring more and more people into the Red family, but we want you to join us and come with us on our journey, because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you. That's been an absolute pleasure. People, like, if you're going to go and look at that website, there's some videos with chocolate and chocolate everywhere. So just be prepared.
Yeah, there is absolutely. We've got, we actually just kicked off our chef series, because we got a lot of folks saying, okay, love the chocolate, love eating it. How can I, what else can I do with it? So,
cool.
It's always great with, a glass of red wine. But, if you want to learn how to make a mole sauce or a couple of different European desserts, or, we've got some great chefs that joined our organization, and they're always cooking up something funky, and it always smells incredible here. So we just had avocado mousse this morning. It was incredible. It was avocado with our extra dark chocolate, and it was good.
Oh dear,
it was really good.
I envy you. Yeah, I envy your job. I really like it. It doesn't get better, really. Wonderful.
Well, thank you, Tatiana. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, I've been able to, share some insight with you and with your audience.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in this episode of Smart Branding Podcast. Feel free to visit smartbranding.com for more information, and reach out if you have any suggestions, questions, ideas, or just want to learn more about how a good domain name strategy can help you build a strong and successful brand. See you next time.